I just spoke with a recent MBA graduate who is trying to pivot from having their own company into a more formal professional role in finance. Now, they're dealing with a few challenges, and I wanted to share them with you and some of the solutions that we came up with for those issues. The first thing they were facing was this challenge of the tell me about yourself question. The second was that because of running their own business, they felt they had some employment gaps. And the third issue they faced was this imposter syndrome, that it seemed like they didn't deserve to be showing up to the interviews that they were getting offered. We addressed these issues in the tell me about yourself response rather just practically. For instance, we don't need to start with thank you because this is going to be a two-way relationship. I'm showing up with my skills and you're giving me this opportunity to interview. And the reason why I'm here in this interview today is because I deserve to be here, because you can see that I am potentially an excellent candidate for this position. And during this interview, we're learning more about each other. I don't need to really say thank you to you up front and be very deferential in the same way that you as the interviewer don't really need to say thank you to me, especially if it's outside the context of introductions and greetings. This is now the response to the tell me about yourself question. So there's a place for being thankful and gracious. I'm not sure it's within the tell me about yourself question. The second part is when we're talking about if I get this role, we don't need to have this conditionality. It triggers those thoughts of why not? Why shouldn't you get this role? Whereas actually what we want to do is have the other party imagining us already in the role. So we can just rephrase it simply and say, in this role, I would do X, Y, Z, if that's something that will come up in Tell Me About Yourself for you. In terms of using the word if, like if I get hired, if you choose me for this position, this is maybe a little bit excess to requirements. We're not being as concise as possible. And also we might be accidentally triggering these thoughts of why not? If, well, why wouldn't we be looking to hire you? Rather than having the interviewer imagine you already being hired, which is the purpose of saying this phrase. So our suggestion was to just say, in this role, I would do X, Y, Z. Fundamentally, this comes to the second point that we discussed during this call, which was imposter syndrome. Now, why are we saying thank you and maybe being a bit too humble, a bit shy in our responses, and also having all these conditionalities? If I get the opportunity, if this, if that. It's because we don't necessarily feel we deserve to be in this room in this interview. The way I discuss this with the candidate is generally, and this is not always true, but generally, interviewers don't want to waste their time either. And so if you're showing up in this room on this Zoom call and you've got a face-to-face discussion with somebody or a panel interview, it's because you're worth their time. And being confident that you deserve to be there will actually surprisingly make you perform better, even if you are the same candidate in both scenarios. If you come in thinking you don't deserve to be there, then that's what you're communicating to the interviewer, that you do not deserve to be there. If you come in thinking that you do and that you're worthy of this opportunity and the future career opportunities it holds, you'll actually perform better. Now, that is easier said than done. The framework I like to use is to build up a set of justifications as to why you're showing up here today. For instance, this candidate had already got through the HireVue interview, which is a challenge in of itself. Just putting up with that process, showing up, getting through that selection, getting through the vibe check shows that someone thinks you deserve to be here. The resume, you've already submitted it. It's been viewed. They clearly believe from what you've submitted on your resume, you have a chance at performing well in this position and they want to meet you. And finally, all your experience and hard work has brought you to this point. And because of that, you also deserve this opportunity to show what you're worth and how you're going to deliver value to this company and hopefully find the employment you want. So collate the evidence. And if you're feeling imposter syndrome where others do not, look and convince yourself from the evidence that there's a reason why you're here. Now, you deserve to be here in this interview, and you can be confident that at least you're showing promise that you can be a great candidate for this opportunity. And if all else fails, there's always other ways to kind of build up your resilience, stamina, and confidence, whether it's listening to your favorite song or just getting some hype beats playing to get you in the right mindset to face the challenge ahead. Now, finally, this candidate also had a rather large employment gap in their resume. They had put their MBA graduation date and then actually just one professional experience, which I thought was incredible that they were getting these opportunities to interview based on what was presented. Now, what was presented was relevant experience, and I think that's something to take away is often resumes that are crafted with relevant experience for the role can be more appealing, can be more eye-catching. Now, the employer will often assume you've had other experiences, but the candidate was nervous that they hadn't really referenced those other experiences. Part of the reason was when they had previously mentioned the business they had started in other interviews, some of the interviewers were not particularly polite or thoughtful about their business that they had started. They were very dismissive of it. It can happen. You can get a bad interviewer or just be applying to a company that isn't as great as it seems externally, internally, and you can have an experience that can make you feel like you have an issue. When this candidate talked about the positions they had held on campus or what they had done in their own business, it was really downtrodden and really disrespected, looked down upon. And the candidate had felt that they shouldn't ever bring up those experiences again. But running your own business is a rich set of opportunities and ownership, no matter whether it went well or it kind of didn't go the way you had hoped. And they had also had a lot of experience working in admissions for the business school of their university. Now, that's a great responsibility. Of course, business schools are businesses in of themselves. The tuition charged is quite insane in many cases, especially in the US. So you're being given responsibility, basically a sales role, bringing people in and showing them that this is a great investment of their money and of their time to push their career forward in the future. So that experience that they felt didn't deserve to be shared. It may not have been relevant for the resume, but for the examples of interview questions they might come across or be given, they weren't sure to show up and answer with that either. And so they're worried about this employment gap. I just encourage them that no matter where your professional experience is gained, often a lot of it can be relevant and cross over. You just need to reflect on what are those key competencies? Is it communication? Is it sales? Where are these competencies in this other position that might be relevant to this position we're applying to? And those kind of questions, like tell me about a time when, that we can bring out those examples. So by the end of the call, we ended up with some strategies and tactics to come across with a compelling story and being authentic, bringing in those experiences from the past and not being afraid to show up because we deserved to be in that interview room. So I hope just sharing at a high level some of those stories about the challenges that candidate was facing and how we went about addressing them will help you in your interview process and showing up, doing the best you can, and hopefully getting the position that you're looking to secure. Anyway, I hope that was useful to you, where we're sharing some of the experiences this candidate had, the challenges, and some of the solutions we worked together on. If you're interested in taking the course, How to Ace Your Video Interview, or doing a one-on-one, you can check out the links below. But regardless, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.